Good morning.
Hi, Simone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see your pretty face there. We're
Sorry,
a little early, so thank everybody. Hi, Paige. Hey, everybody. I see all you hiding.
Hi, Amy.
Some of you are brave enough to be on. Anyway, thanks for joining a little earlier. I'm really excited. I have in 18 years, I've never done this before. So I have at 10 o'clock, or 10:15, I'm meeting somebody at a house. They have no idea that they bought it or they got acceptance. And only the husband and I know. So we're going to do a surprise, and Brandon's going to be there to video it. She's been obsessing about this house. And so she has no idea. So we opened escrow yesterday, and so it's kind of fun.
Wow.
Yeah, a fun thing to do on a Friday. So I'm gonna scoot out here probably 9:40ish, and Neil. Everybody could thank Neil for this meeting. He's out there in the trenches like we all are, and we were talking about offers and just everything going on out there and how difficult it is getting offers accepted, and then also best strategies as a listing agent on really what to do when you get 10 offers or multiple offers, and how to protect yourself. So so that's what we want to talk about. And Neil, if I have to leave and people are continuing on, if you're able for another 10 minutes or so to lead it, that would be awesome.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Amy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and you can see everybody on your screen. I know Elizabeth's muted. I can't see everybody on here, but anyway, happy to have you guys. We're gonna start. It's 9:02. And I'm sure there'll be people joining, and we haven't done one of these in a while, and it's great to be on. So I guess we'll start with Neil. What do you think? Buyers first or sellers first? What do you want to do?
Let's talk about buyers first and see who needs help with what, and try to give anyone guidance. How does that sound?
Sure. Well, I'm gonna be quiet for once, and then I'll add in. But Neil, and I guess Simone, you just had one accepted, right? So 2. Okay, great. And there were multiple offers. Yeah. So why don't you guys kind of share? Hi, Grace. Anyway, share your stories, and then we'd love to hear everybody else's. It's really about successes, and because we can all learn from each other. So take it away.
Simone.
Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, everybody. So I have 2 clients that we got their homes in escrow, their sales in escrow. And both of their offers, even though we wanted to get them in escrow contingent on them finding homes, all the offers they received was offering them rent backs because of the low interest rates. People wanted to make sure that their buyers got the low interest rate. So both of them ended up getting rent back options instead of their contingent on their purchase. So it added a little extra layer of stress on them and me, obviously. And so the one couple was looking for a house in Santee. Every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we saw over 10, 15 homes each day. Anything that popped on the market, we were going to see. And I wrote for them 7 offers, and it was the 7th offer that finally got accepted. This offer had multiple offers. Every time I wrote an offer, I was always told by the agent, "You're great, your offer's clean, it's neat. My clients loved your client's letter." I have always had my clients write a letter, including a picture. And they said everything with it was perfect. We just got a higher offer with no appraisal contingency. Or we got this cash offer that was able to close in 10 days. And homes are going $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 over where it makes sense.
Yeah,
And
well,
so-
and that's going back to also is the first thing we do, whether we're in this kind of market or not, is setting expectations.
Yes.
You have to set expectations for the client and just tell them up front. It's unlikely, I mean, it'd be awesome if it happens, but it's unlikely that you're going to write and get acceptance on the first home. It could take 3. It takes patience is a virtue, and you can't get attached. You just got to let it go, do the best you can.
And we had all those discussions the whole time. This
Perfect.
offer, I got them accepted last Sunday. We opened escrow Monday. It was a very clean offer. We went in at asking because it really was priced well. My clients wrote a killer letter about why they wanted the home, talking about being able to see their daughter grow up in the home, why the home was perfect for their family, even speaking about the school district and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And these particular sellers were attached to the home. You could see when we were walking through it that there was a lot of love put into the home, and there's pictures of their kids up, and you can tell that they've raised beautiful children in the home. So we really did the tugging at the heart, and they ended up accepting our offer. They had other offers higher than ours, but the agent called me and said, are your clients looking at other homes? And I was very honest and said, we've been looking for about. They have done other offers in the last 2 months, but right now this is currently the sole home that they're interested in. And this is the only home we wrote an offer on this weekend, and they really love it. And she came back and said, my clients love how much your clients love the home, love how much your clients want to raise their kids in this neighborhood, because this is where they've raised their kids, and they've accepted it as is, even though they did have an offer for $20,000 more.
Yeah, cool.
So
Well, in the letters, yeah, what I'll do too, and when you as an agent too, you may, look at things, look at the home, because even your client may not notice, but if you notice that they have like a vegetable garden or like they did this amazing kitchen or something, like talk about the things that if there is pride of ownership, because sometimes that's the way you're talking about, Simone, tugging at the heart, where you're hitting something there that means something. And again, sometimes they'll pick your offer, even though it may not be the highest.
So for this particular home, in the little girl's bedroom, they had painted a mural of Peter Pan. And in my client's bedroom, they had a quote of Peter Pan up on their daughter's current bedroom.
Yeah.
So they actually sent a picture of the daughter like holding the sign.
Yep.
Holding the quote.
Awesome. So the letters, and a lot of times people just don't take time to do the letters. If it's a flip kind of property or it's vacant and it doesn't have any whatever, it may not, you may not have to do it. But if you're walking through a home that somebody's lived there and there is that care and love and whatever, then absolutely, absolutely do it. One of the things I will tell you, I have a client that lost out on a couple different properties as well. And sometimes it takes them to lose a couple properties to really understand. This particular client, the father was buying it for the kids, and he is got his mindset. We got a counter back. There was one thing that was very important. It was a 60-day rent back instead of the 30. And he's like, I want to push back on that. I agree to everything. They'll come back to me. And I said, well, they may not. And guess what? They didn't, because somebody else, said they would. And that was the one thing that was really important. He had to learn that way. But then the next time he was ready to do what he needed to do. And in this case, he was getting a loan, but he had the cash to close. He wasn't worried about appraisal. He wasn't worried about, loan approval. So I would normally never do this, but I said, we have to go all, head in and, put everything we can at it. So I did suggest, the no appraisal, no loan contingency. And of course we talked about, making sure he felt comfortable with that. And so we did that, and also had to go 105,000 over the list price, which was crazy in Carlsbad. And when you're talking, a lot of times they're going to say, what do you think price wise? Where do you think I should go? So the words that I'll use often is go as high as you feel comfortable going, where if you lose it to somebody else going higher, then you're okay with it. So those are, words that, I mean, you might, put a suggestion, but again, it's up to them. And I might not even have said to go that extra 5,000. I might have just said the 100, and but they wanted to go that, so I said, great. But it took us a week to find out we got it. Crazy. So.
Yeah, I've used that quote with both the people I have in escrow now. I said to both of them, if you were to hear that you lost this sale, you lost this home because of $2,000, how would you feel in your stomach?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they came up with their price where they were comfortable.
If I can piggyback on both Simone and Amy. So Simone's been working really hard getting these people into escrow. And I've always told Simone, letters are everything, especially in a market like this. And I had a client in Claremont that we had been looking for 3 weeks. Every single house that would come on the market, we'd see it the day of. We'd write offers, 10, 20, 30, $50,000 over asking. And I'd barely get a response. My client said to me, hey, they were surprised about the letter idea, and they're like, well, does that really work? I said, yeah, it really works. So they wrote a generic letter, and I came back to them one day. I said, look, I want you to make this more about you. And so they really wrote a good letter, and I submitted an offer for them 2 days ago with the letter. It was a vacant house, and the agent calls me within 3 hours and says, you got the deal. And we got the deal because of the letter. And what was it in the letter that got us the deal? The fact that my clients had to cancel their wedding, their huge family wedding, due to COVID. Ironically, the owner of the home had to do the exact same thing, and that's what got us the transaction.
Yeah, you never know.
You never ever know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
If anybody out there wants a sample letter, I do have permission from my clients to share them.
Oh, yeah. But it's really good for them to do whatever. Sometimes I will write the letter also and show it to them and tell them to edit. Sometimes that's helpful as well. But I mean, that's just one thing. Let's talk about, and it's a great thing, but let's talk about escalation clause, because I want to kind of keep things moving in different points. Has anybody had any luck with escalation clause? I don't really use them too much. I always ask whether or not the agent and the seller would be open to it, because some people don't want to see it. So my advice is always ask. And if you are going to do it, to Simone's point, $2,000, that's probably not going to be enough. If you're going to do an escalation clause, it has to be real. So, a minimum of 5, I would say 10 or more. So that's and if you need verbiage on that, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to give you verbiage, but always ask the agent to see if they or the seller would be open to that, because if they're not, you're wasting your time, and then they might not even choose to go with you. And you have to know too is, agents most agents are not, or there's many agents that are really awesome out there, but there are so many that don't respond, that maybe aren't as ethical, trying to do double ending. Who knows what they're doing? It's very frustrating. So in the market that we're in, sometimes because they don't have to respond, you may not get a counter. Put your best foot forward as advice. because you don't know if you'll get a response, or maybe they're only going to respond to 2 or 3. So, you know, let your client know that, you know, write it like this is it. Even if they send you a counter and they ask best and final, you don't necessarily have to go higher. So anyway, so that's my kind of advice on that.
Amy, you remember the one house I made an offer in Pasadena? My
Yes.
client made an offer like many houses, and they keep losing it because
Yeah.
there were like 12 offers. So we found the home they really like, but agent said that they already have multiple offer, but they didn't share how many offers they received. But my client really liked the house, so the house was listed at 900, so we came up 920.
Mm-hmm.
And but my clients really worry. Grace, we don't want to lose this house. Can you help us? But we don't want to put too much, because what if we are the only one made highest offer? So we put the clause like we made a 935,000. This is advice I got from Amy, because without Amy, I never knew about this, escalation clause. And then you sent me how to do it step by step and how to wording. And so we made a 935, but we said we're gonna come up 935. Then we put the clause, but anyone bid our offer, we will make $5,000 more, but we're not gonna go more than 945. But we are the one highest.
Yeah.
And so they're really happy, and they said they work with the other agent, but they never had this. They never wrote this on their offer. So they asked me, they thanked me and said, "Oh, Grace, thanks for not letting us put, just like closing your eyes, try to get something, So I use it a lot, Amy.
Good. Well, and this is the thing too, is again, every situation's different. And one trick also is, how when you're writing an offer, let's say you're asked highest and best, okay, you're an accountant, and you might say 935. And kind of going back to my client that is in escrow, we're closing next week in Carlsbad, where he had to go 105,000. We kind of, one kind of trick is if you think something's going to go to a normal, a certain level, let's say it was 950 or something, your client might say, well, let's go 958. Go like an off number. Go like a little bit more than what somebody else might do. But if it's like they might go to the 50 or 5.9, then go to the next level 6.3, or you know what I'm saying? Do like a number that instead of going up 10, maybe go up 12 or 13, or you know what I mean? So that can also help as well. Anybody have any success stories that are a little like maybe just like just a wild story that they have to share in getting acceptance, or some kind of question as far as advice?
Yes, I do. Several, but I'll just start with one.
And this is Laura. Hi, Laura.
Seidman. No picture today, sorry.
That's okay.
So I have a 4-sided transaction. I am handling 2 sides, and the agents on the other 2 sides, everybody's good agents. We're all working together. And like Simone, it's like every single one of them is contingent on the other one finding a replacement property, everybody doing a rent back. It's just been crazy. And so I've got the last buyer. So there's my clients bought a house off market, then I listed my client's house and we got just 2 offers, but we accepted one. And then the house they're buying, they bought a house that was also off market, and then that person wanted to rent back. So it's like we've got all these concurrent different closings and contingencies and trying to figure out the timelines. And now we just found out that my clients, the house that they're buying, their request for repairs is not coming together. So I've been having a lot of challenges with requests for repairs.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility now that may get canceled. And then it's really confusing. And so I had another large transaction that also fell apart because of requests for repairs. And I've never had this happen. I mean, it always seems to work out. So I don't know if anyone else out there is experiencing that sellers are just being really different right now with requests for repairs and,
Yeah.
like asking for a discount on the sales price because of some major problems. It's just, it's
Yes.
mind-boggling.
Well, so Laura brings up a really great point, especially for a lot of you that maybe haven't done a ton of transactions, or you haven't done contingent on, them buying and so forth. You have to think ahead, like what could go wrong. So you need to make sure that if you are contingent on, let's say, the sale of a property, you need to make sure that your client is covered in case the deal falls apart. That they can back out, that they're not homeless, number one. So you wouldn't remove the contingency for, let's say, for sale until they are completely good on their end. Okay? And it's a little scary for the buyer on their property, if this is making sense to you guys, because they're all in, they're ordering appraisal, they're ordering inspections and so forth, and knowing that the seller could cancel. So one strategy is, if you get pushback on that, when you're lining all this up, the seller, you can talk to the seller and say, look, it's all about your experience. You want to know on your end that your buyer is comfortable. Or you're on the other end, you're buying the property and you want to make sure that you don't have stress on your end because that you're worried that your buyer is not going to perform. So basically everything has to go at the same time. But the buyer on your property is taking a risk because if you cancel, they could be out like $1,000 or something. So the way to do it, if there's any resistance, is to offer to have your client reimburse if they cancel for like home inspection, which is what, $500. Now, if there's 10 offers, a buyer may say, hey, I'll do anything because what is it, $1,000? I don't care. My timelines will start. But you have to think ahead, is because requests for repairs can be problematic. I have one going on right now where the wife is on board, the husband, I try to keep him thinking of the big picture. And so, you look for solutions instead of making them feel that they're right. So I guess what I would do in that case, like if I'm struggling with somebody with requests for repairs or a difficult personality, instead of telling them this is what you need to do, this is my advice. Number one, I'm looking out for your best interest. I do this all the time. You have to feel comfortable, and I want to take you to the finish line, and I'm your voice of reason here, but it's up to you. So here's your options. This is what I'm hearing from the other side. What do you want to do? putting it back on them, or let's find a common ground where we can keep this together, because you do want to get this closed rather than starting with somebody else, correct? And
Yes.
of course, the answer is going to be yes. Right? So it's like finding the solution, staying calm, and sometimes putting it back on them. What do you want to do? This is my advice. And sometimes we have to play towards the ego, right? On the other side, unfortunately. And letting them think that they came up with the answer. So, but they're right now, sellers, especially with the sellers market, they feel their homes are as is and so forth. Now, let me tell you this. I have, this is the other thing to do. If you're representing a seller, I have one coming on right now. If anybody, it's going on today in Encinitas, $899, single story, 1,800 something square feet by Trader Joe's. It's gonna fly if you have anybody. But guess what? We did a home inspection on it. My sellers paid $500, got a home inspection because they don't want to negotiate twice. Tom talks about this all the time. They do it in the Bay Area. I've done it a couple times. If you've got a seller that, you know, the home is older, talk to them about this, because it really sets the stage. We're going on live. In the document section of the MLS, we're going to have all the disclosures in there, and we're going to have the home inspection in there. And we're going to say, we want acknowledgement that every buyer, anybody that's submitting an offer, has gone through everything and they understand everything they see about the house. They know about it. If there's anything that they see in the inspection report that that's important to them that they want to ask for, we don't want to hear about it later. You're either buying it as is, or if there's something in here, you need to negotiate it now. So that is, again, like you are the one where at the end of the day, when I go into a listing appointment, honestly, I don't bring anything fancy. I come prepared, but I talk about the experience that I want to have for each of my clients. I want at the end of the day, when that sale is done, that you felt that I took away as much stress on you as possible. I represented you, I communicated, you know, regularly, and, you know, listened to concerns. And so that the experience is one where you are happy at the end and you're glad that you chose me. Because really, we're the one that they're hiring, and you have to set yourself apart. You know, I'm not a techie, I'm not an analytical person. I don't come with big reports and things like that. But I mean, I do come with comps and, you know, so forth. But I think you have to talk about the experience. I think, again, going back to Simone, even on the buy-in, when you're representing a seller, you have to, communication is key. And I think that is something that's going to hit with a lot of people. You can set yourself apart. There's a lot of mega teams out there. What do? They show up for the listing appointment, and then they have somebody else handle it. So you talk about, hey, I'm here today and you've got me all the way through. I have a great team behind me to support me in marketing, in transactional, you know, making sure paperwork and everything's done, but you get me. So anyway, but be prepared, and I'm talking too long, so.
Amy, I have a question about home inspection. The one I'm in escrow in the Forest Ranch home. So we had we opened escrow, first escrow, the buyer canceled after like 12 days. So we have an inspection report, and then we have a second buyer, they're in escrow with us right now. they called somebody else. We disclosed the first inspection report, but they said we like to hire somebody else do our own inspection.
Yes.
So we agree, and they came and they compared two inspection report. The first report was way more than the second report, the company they hire. So they asked, we like to do the third inspection
Oh, wow.
because these are, you know, way too different. So my seller don't like the idea, and they feel like, what if you have a 3 report, you're gonna write the repair request based on all of 3? And they said, oh, we're not gonna, you know, just pick 1 out of 2 and send us a report,
Well,
request report.
let me just interrupt you, Grace, here. Let me just tell you something. So
Okay.
a buyer in the contract,
Mm.
you have to allow a buyer to do whatever inspections they choose to do to feel comfortable. It's you as a seller, the seller doesn't have the right to say, well, you can't do this inspection because I think it's unnecessary.
Mm.
So and just, you know, just letting you know. Now,
Yeah.
maybe somebody will hear you,
Uh-huh.
but you have to allow them to do whatever. Now, that's
Uh-huh.
going back, like, even like, you know, you want to do, let's say you do a termite inspection up front, if you're the listing
Mhm.
agent, which I always do, and a seller said, well, I don't like this. You know, this is ridiculous. I want another report. You can get as many reports as you want. You have to disclose
Mhm.
every report. So that's why sometimes, and you know, the second report might be worse than the first one. It's subjective, and everybody's looking at, you know, different things. So, but in this case, yeah, you have to, and sometimes you may have a nightmare.
So, so what happened
nightmare
was, so I
buyer.
told seller,
Mhm.
they have a right to do, you know, whatever, inspect the house because they're gonna pay for it. And
Right.
but they said they don't want it. And then I told them they might cancel because you don't let them do any more inspection, and they might think, you know, why seller doesn't let us do more inspection, you know, if there is something they're hiding, or but
Mhm.
seller just, you know, persistent. And they said, I never heard, like, you know,
Yeah.
the
And
buyer.
Well, and I'm so sorry, just because of time essence. This goes back also to what the number one thing when I started 18 years ago that was pounded into my head is communication log. Okay. We have to protect ourselves. And there's a couple things I want to go over, and then I'll just to make sure I want to cover. If you have a situation like this, or any situation where the seller is saying, no, I'm not doing this, then you would, what I tell you to do, email them, blind CC yourself, and blind CC your TC. Mr. Seller, I understand your where you're coming from as far as not wanting another home inspection after having 2. However, per the contract, the buyer has, you know, the right to do all. So I'm just letting you know this is their right. If you still want me to say no, I will, but I have to let you know what is their right. That way, again, if the buyer, it's the buyers that end up suing usually. If they have a problem, you've got documentation. You have to do communication log. It is so important. I was having a conversation with Neil also about if you are representing a seller and you get 10 offers and you just want to pick your top 3, because doing counters for all 10, it's crazy, right? So yeah, so there's a couple things you can do. One is you can also, you can say up front, listen, people, we know this is going to be a busy, you know, multiple offer situation here. Please come in with your best, you know, your highest. That way it helps you to separate, you know what I mean? You know, there's every different strategy, but let's say you just pick 3 out of your, and you have 7 left that you're not going to respond to. Like Tom says, there is a place below on page, I think it's page 10 of the contract. I always get the pages wrong, but I think it's page 10, where the signature page, the seller rejects. You have to have them reject the offer. And what that is I don't really like reject. It should be acknowledges review, because that's what rejection is. And every single one of those offers needs to go to the TC. It needs to go in the file. It needs to be part of it. Don't just delete, I didn't choose them, so I don't need this offer anymore. It needs to be in the file. So it needs to go in the TC file. It needs to have your client's signature saying rejected. And that way they can't come back to you later and say, hey, we, don't feel you presented our offer. Also, there's something else I want to tell you too, with multiple offers and buyers coming to you thinking they're going to get a better deal for you. I don't know if Danielle Negroni's on here, this call, but in Carmel Valley, there was a family looking, they made different offers, and it's a small community, and the word got out kind of on talking about Grace. They did, I don't know how many different inspections, crazy town, crazy. And they came to me for me to represent them on a property. I didn't feel great about it. In the long run, there was just something that was kind of off. In the long run, they decided not to go with the property, which was good. But then they went to Danielle's property. They wanted to write an offer through Danielle. Danielle didn't feel comfortable because she had kind of heard things, and the client was her friend, the seller. So I said to her, you have to feel comfortable. You are representing the seller. You need to tell the seller, look, somebody's approached me. I'm not sure I feel comfortable, talk with them. And so basically she went back, because she went back after we talked about it, and she said, I'm representing the seller, and at this time they don't feel comfortable. It was really Danielle that did not feel comfortable, because her friendship, because if it goes south, then your friendship could go south. So she said the seller does not feel comfortable with me representing both sides. So, and again, she did an email, she blind CC'd, so she had it in the file, so they can't come back and whatever. So you can say no, and you should say no, especially in that situation if you do not feel comfortable.
Hey, Amy, stepping back to page 10, and when you're responding to offers or not responding to offers, you are correct, it is page 10. There's the presentation of offer box, and then there's the rejection of offer box. So I've never used that before. Obviously, we had our conversation. I ended up sending a seller multiple counter offer to all 14 of my offers because I'm insane.
You're wonderful and nice.
But that being said, had I not done that, would you just put presentation, or would you do presentation?
Well, that's a great, yeah, I should know that. And they keep adding different things. Right. Which is good. They've added a couple different things. We should go over little nuances I noticed on, I forget what form it was. I was like, this is good. They also have on the RPA, if you are subject to, I think Neil, you might know, subject to seller finding suitable housing is now on the RPA too. You can check that box.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huh?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's there. I saw it, which is kind of interesting. So, but anyway, yeah, so presentation, that would be fine too. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But so if you do multiple counter everybody, you've responded, it's up to them to now respond. So you're good. You're good when you do that, right?
Yeah, it's just that they want to know that, yeah, so like on the counter offers, if you're countering everybody, then there's no rejection, there's no nothing.
Right.
Then of course you would want to, again, email and just, you know, if they don't choose them, you know, we understand how difficult it is right now. We really appreciate your offer. The seller has chosen, you know, the best fit for them, and we wish you all the best. So something like that. Again, you blind CC yourself, you blind CC the TC, so that again, your file is complete. I literally, for every single email, I blind CC my clients or myself on every email that goes out to anybody. Unless it's thanks, I don't do that necessarily. Like if it's somebody saying, you know, whatever, or if I say you're welcome, but everything, you can't do it enough. It protects you.
Okay, so question for you then, to piggyback on that. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, to piggyback on that, in a situation like that, when I had all these offers, I actually took the extra step to call every single agent and let them know personally versus just the email. I felt better about that. Should I be emailing as well so that it's documented?
I think email or text, but I think email is good. I mean, I think the phone call is really nice, but I think the documentation is great just because again, you may need that, you know, for your records and, you know, and listen, if you have the time to call them all, then you say, hey, just calling you. Don't know if you saw my email. Thank you so much again, you know, blah, blah, blah. So you've kind of done both. So
there's a personal side to that too. You know, I want to make sure I maintain that relationship. If, you know, buyer A, B, or C ends up falling out, the other agent knows that I'm going to be reaching out and they, you know, hopefully keep them in the game.
Yeah.
So I have a question. This is Kim. I have a question regarding these multiple offers and how other agents are handling backup offers in terms of making them, you know, formally in a backup position, or what are agents' thoughts on that?
I think it's really in your best interest, your client's best interest to, I think, well, you know what? I think it's in your best interest to ask the seller, what do they want to do? Do you want to take and put them in a backup position, knowing that, of course, they could find something else, you know, or do you feel, would you rather let them know, hey, we will contact you, you know, immediately if anything looks shaky or, you know, and reach out to you first to give you the opportunity? Because with the market being the way the market is, you know, maybe somebody would come in higher and then, and, you know, who knows, maybe they will find something else. So, you could do it, but I just feel like, I probably wouldn't, unless my seller's like, yes, we really like them, we feel badly, let's put them in backup position.
But we have a lot of control right now.
Yeah. Hey, Danielle, I was just talking about you.
Me?
Yes, I was sharing your story about, hey, go with your gut, and if you don't feel comfortable, say, sorry, I'm not representing you, and especially when I'm representing the seller. So, hey, everybody, listen, I'm gonna skedaddle. I hope to, Brandon's gonna video this, so I hope to share the surprise with my client. But keep going. Neil, you are the leader. Proud of all of you.
I just got my credit card statement this morning because I do this once a month.
Oh, Anna, you're on.
Anna?
Anna, you need a mute. Okay.
I'll put what?
Anna, here. Oh yeah, there she goes. She's on. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And if anybody needs anything, you know, we're here for you guys, and just
Always
proud of you all and all that good stuff.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thanks,
Bye.
Amy.
Take it away, Neil.
Thank you. So does
Okay.
anybody have any questions for me or Simone at this time, or are we good to finish it? I'm open to answer any questions or to keep the conversation going if anybody wants to.
Hey, Neil, I just wanted to interject, when I had asked or shared what was going on with the 4 sides. And what I did to protect my clients is I have the COP in place, and I also have the, what is it? The SRPR, or, seller's replacement property. And I had a conversation with my sellers and said, if your home that you're trying to purchase falls through and you've got, I got them like 8,000 over list price. I said, are you in the position to go ahead and close with your current buyer and then rent a place until you can find another home, take advantage of top of the market? So, I did do all of that, and just to have that conversation. The other thing that I did, and, even if it's 2-sided or 3-sided, is all of the agents had a conference call so that we could all be on the same page.
Smart.
And all the TCs work together. We have a chart with all the dates. And if need be, we might have to do some extensions, but everybody understood that up front. So it's been really helpful. It's just, it's always challenging when you have multiple sides.
So do you think you're going to be able to pull this one off, or do you think that RR is going to kill it?
Well, the other agent, it's going to depend on the request for repairs. And this is like the 4th party that's being difficult with the request for repairs. It's not my client. So she feels it's still going to come together, but she said if it doesn't, her client is already actively looking at another property. And this is the house my client's buying, and they had like 45 days to find a replacement property. So
Okay.
even if it falls through, they're trying to find another house. So I think I'm going to say, yes, it's going to come together. I'm thinking positive,
Great.
but it's definitely a different market right now, and just no inventory, and reminds me of the short sale days.
I mean, it is intense. And maybe to go along, along with the no inventory thing and getting offers accepted, if you don't have the luxury of removing appraisal contingency, I highly recommend reducing your inspection contingency time to 5 to 7 days, or even shorter if you can. And that goes to everybody. You want to knock that out as quick as possible. And if you all know this already, great, but it makes a difference. And then, reduce the appraisal contingency to 7 or 10 days. If you can get your lender on it, that'll definitely help you, and get your escrow down to 21 days if you can do it. But there's so many things that we can do to get our offers accepted. Does anybody else have any suggestions on how they're getting offers accepted in this market?
Well, I hate to say anything because I missed the whole first 45 minutes, and maybe you've already talked about it, so sorry. But honestly, I find like the relationships I've been able to establish with the other agents in town, 99% of the time, just is the most important thing. I mean, I win multiples even when we're not the highest price, because the agent will say, well, I've worked with you and I know that, you're no drama and you're very cooperative and you're very communicative. So I feel like that's not something you can do overnight, but like really be conscientious about your interactions with all agents, even jerky ones, stroking their egos, but it definitely is paying off in this crazy market.
I agree with you, Danielle. Our reputations are really of paramount importance, and really in any marketplace. But, like you, I always want to know who's on the other side. And if it's an agent that I've worked with and on my listing, I will definitely let my sellers know, hey, this person's professional. They're going to get the job done. And, hopefully that would be extended to you when you're on the buy side. So anybody else have any experience with that?
Yeah, that's the same. I feel the same way as Danielle. And actually, Danielle, I've been using your love letter like since you first did it. And that's, sending the letter to the seller, written by the buyer with the picture. And that does definitely work, and sometimes get the lower offers.
And Connie wrote in the chat that
It sounds
thinks,
so corny, but I've had that letter, and I actually Laura, if you remind me, I got another one recently that wasn't even my clients, but we've been working off it. And I mean, actually, the agents keep telling me it was your letter that made the difference. And you kind of laugh because it's so corny these days to do it, but
I
I'll tell
know.
you, those
But it's
letters
true.
help.
Yeah,
That's true, yeah.
yeah, it is true. I
Um,
will. I
so-
want to get that.
Simone, go ahead. You were going to speak for Connie?
Yeah, Connie just wrote in the comments that she also agrees that connecting with the listing agent really, really helps and makes a difference. And she said she just spoke with some listing agent and noticed that she never shows sweetheart letter and pictures to her clients. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
very disheartening.
Yeah, some won't because especially pictures, they feel like, you know, you're open to discrimination issue, whatever,
Yeah.
fair housing and blah, blah, blah. But I do it and they love them.
Very cool. Anything else from anybody that wants to chime in?
And when I make an offer with the buyer, and I always encourage them to make the contingency removal date shorter.
Yes.
And when it comes to the loan, I told them 17 days, but they are kind of scared, especially they're the first buyer. And what if lender needs more time? And what if we don't make it on time in 17 days? So what I do is I contact the lender directly and give the listing agent contact number to reach out to listing agent and said that we will try our best in 17 days. But in case we need a 2 or 3 days more extra, can you help us work together? And I think that helps my client feel more comfortable instead of just I pushing them to, a lot of other buyer, right, 17 days, this is going to be okay, So
Well, I think our clients have to have the confidence in our lender that they're working with. And, with the lender I work with, I always consult and I always ask, what can you do? And he'll never tell me he can't do something and not perform. So can do something and not perform. So that's critical. And I think it's critical of your clients to know, critical that your clients understand that too. And then I always encourage in every offer that I present, I always present the lender's contact information and I encourage the listing agent to contact the lender and have that conversation. It's just anything you can do. And it's like submitting a deed of approval or a portion of it so you can show your client's qualifications. There's lots of different things that you can do to make it look better, but you want that confidence in the listing agent.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Is somebody doing karate move?
It sounds like it. All right, well, how about we call
Sounds
I think somebody's taking martial art class.
So, hey, Neil,
how about we call it a day, everybody?
hey, Neil, can I just ask one more? And if you don't want to hear me talk, you guys can sign off. But this is with 2 buyers I'm working with that are virtual. They're not here in town, and I'm doing these video tours with them. And I have a client that wants to write an offer right now, and she won't be here for 2 weeks. But the particular unit has fallen out of escrow 3 times. So the listing agent's like, no, we don't want to take it contingent on her viewing the interior. And there's all kinds of disclosures about floods and this and that. And my client read everything. She's okay with everything, but she's going to be here in 2 weeks. And I know they just got 2 offers, but I'm like, how can I do this? I mean, should I just write it anyway and then, have her offer above the asking price? Even though the agent said they won't take it contingent.
Wow.
Well, you can write, I would say the agent's already communicated pretty clearly that they're not going to be interested, but you can still write it above it. And at least your client feels like you're advocating and doing the best you can. Whether or not the seller chooses to entertain it, you have no control over, but you want to kind of, I guess, just stay in good graces with your client. And who knows what happens if those other 2 offers disappear. I guarantee you she's going to consider your offer.
Yeah, and she's a cash buyer, and the seller has a power of attorney. He's in assisted living, so
that's huge to be cash.
Yeah,
I don't know. I say write it up and short and everything, and why wouldn't
Right, right. I mean, she'll be here on on August 26th, but that's the thing. Well, it's
They
not too
very
far.
well entertain that, seriously.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'll just write it. Thanks.
Laura, did you do like a virtual tour with her?
I've been doing, yeah. I mean, I was at the community for like an hour and a half showing her the grounds and the pools and the inside
So then don't make it contingent on the visual. Just put a contingency in there that is after the 26th that you could be canceling. If for some reason she actually saw it, but don't write a contingent on visual because she has kind of seen it already.
Does the agent know that she hasn't physically been there?
yes.
Ah,
Yes, and because of the 3 escrows that have fallen through, and if these other 2 offers are better that have seen it,
Right, but I'm saying if you write it up cash, let's just say you do a 12-day inspection contingency. So she'll be out here before that 12th day. So you know, I don't know. I mean, is she willing to, if it's an accepted offer, is she willing to move forward in good faith? And then if she gets out here and really hates it, cancels it, and maybe she lost her inspection dollars or something?
yeah, actually, that's
I
a
mean,
good idea. Yeah, because now that I realize it's like we've been going back and forth for a week, and I just realized. What's that, Danielle? Oh, I think I lost her.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's saying, oh, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was just saying, write it up like a regular offer with shorting contingencies. And if she gets out here and hates it, you cancel it because of, you make up whatever. You cancel it because she didn't like the inspection report.
Right.
Just, and
Yeah, I guess
chances are, if you've walked her through it and gone through all of it and she likes it enough to write an offer, chances are she's still going to like it when she gets out here.
Yeah, and actually I could go do the inspection for her. So
Right.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Connie said that she would definitely put in the offer for your buyer too, and I think I am in agreement with everybody as well. Like, this is COVID, right? Like we're all dealing with this, and we got to make things happen. That's just my take.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said cash offer, I guarantee the other 2 aren't cash. So yours is going to be very appealing.
Yeah. And
for that reason.
Right. I mean, another guy that I was working with virtually that was in Texas and did a lot of virtual offers, and we had 3 declined because of the fact that there's multiple offers. And this is on a $2 million house, multiple offers, but because they hadn't seen it, they took a different offer.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I have
now
a
you have
question
to,
about-
I don't know, going forward, maybe don't let these listing agents know
Don't
that.
let them know.
Well, don't let them know that you're doing it virtually,
Yeah,
especially, hopefully if they're not accompanying, they don't need to know that.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thank
And
you.
you can still have your client sign the PED.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
So
So-
I have a question back to inspections, and I know Neil, you had said for writing offers, shorten that contingency period, which I have been doing, but 2 things relative to COVID, because so many inspectors are backed up. It's like you could write in 10 days or less for your buyer to do inspections, but then it's actually getting the home inspector on the books within that period of time. To be able to get in. That has been a challenge. And then wanted to also ask how everybody is managing inspections if a home is owner occupied. Are you going as an agent into the home and sitting for 3 hours? Or are you letting the inspector go in and then your client is just coming to do the recap? I'm kind of curious about that. I've had a few different scenarios and they've all been very different.
Anybody want to take that one?
I mean, mine have mostly been different. Like I have one on Monday and the inspector said to me, I would like the home vacant, meaning like it's owner occupied and he doesn't want the sellers there. Now he doesn't mind if my buyer comes, and my buyer's probably just going to come the last half hour. I had one where my seller, owner occupied, wanted me to be there for the inspection. So I opened up the house and I sat in the backyard because I don't need to be there with the buyers and then some strangers. And
Right.
so I opened it up and I was there, but I hung out in their backyard in fresh air. So I
Okay.
think it is sort of case by case, but my inspection company right now is 9 days out, which sucks because you can't wait 9 days to do a home
Right.
inspection. And so I've had to like go to inspectors I don't like nearly as much. but they're
So-
available, and they're available because they're not that good. So no one's booking them.
So I'll chime in. And Danielle, I don't think you use Dan anymore, but Amy and I both use Dan. And Dan's a unique character in the real estate world, but his name is Dan Roach. I've used him my entire career, and I have a strong relationship with Dan. So he'll like he got an inspection done for me in one day with an offer I just got accepted. I was literally with him yesterday, got the offer accepted the previous day. He will do that for me because I've worked with him for so long. So for me, again, it's back to relationships. And as far as
I stopped using Dan, but that's another story. But someone
I
just
know.
brought him in on one of my homes, and thank God the buyers, were pretty reasonable, because he said there was mold and it was a piece of lint. Like, I mean, he could have really blown this deal up, which is why I stopped using him. But I had no choice. When he showed up, I was like, oh.
Dan can be challenging, and I know how to manage my inspections with him, but it's hard.
Yeah. But
And then going back to being at the listing for inspections, Kim, I'm not the type to be at an inspection, and I actually coach my clients that let them have their time at the listing. That's my style, and it happens to work very well during COVID. So, that's what I like to do. It really just depends case by case.
Thank you. Input's always helpful.
Sure. All right. Well, I have to go. Thank you all very much. If y'all want to stay on, by all means, please do. But have a great day and happy house hunting out there.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Danielle and everybody.
y'all.
I'm going to sign off too.
Take care.
Take care.